Okay, sit yourself onto your lift and come into a good cross-legged position. Just feel that you are sitting evenly. Wriggle about, make sure that you're sitting with levelness. And then hold onto your knees. Elevate your heart area up towards the ceiling and draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Listen to the sound of your breath. So just to spend a moment to acknowledge the feeling of the physical body. Observe your level of energy. And spend a little time focusing on the sound of the in-breath, the sound of the out-breath. Bring your hands into Namaste. Push the palms firmly together. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. Elbows into the heels of your hands. And then close your eyes. Draw in your breath in through your nose. Filling the lungs evenly and emptying them evenly. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. And then gently release the backs of your hands out, down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Hold on to your knees and elevate the heart area up to the ceiling, consciously drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders, keeping your neck just still. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. Again, just digging the back hand into the floor so that you roll onto the front edge of the seat bones. Drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders. gently come back to the centre. Sit back on your heels and press the shins into the floor, lift up into the chest. Just wriggle into the inner heels, make the seat bones really connect with the inner heels, and consciously press the shins into the floor. Press the shin bones into the shin skin so that the thighs activate. Elevate the heart area upwards and then come forward, making sure that your knees are wide enough apart so that you can maintain that connection between the seat bones and the heels. If they're too close together, almost impossible. So just stretch your arms away. Press the seat bones down into the heels and then bring the forehead down. Keep pressing the hands deeply into the floor. Lengthen the arms away from the torso. Press the palms into the floor. Press the palms away from the torso. Just get hold of the edges of the mat. Grip the edges of the mat and then push back into your heels. Just notice the difference. So there's and the only difference really, it's not a great deal of difference in effort or type of effort. It's just that your hands are really kind of firmly connected to the mat. So try and maintain that connection that you get between the seat bones and the heels, or the closer connection you get between the seat bones and the heels. And then one hand at a time, release the side of the mat, bring the palm flat back onto the floor. Try and maintain that connection to the floor, so push the hands into the floor and push them away. Try and keep the seat bones down on the heels. Focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, and emptying them from the top to the bottom. Filling your lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying them from the top to the bottom. Okay, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and then push yourself up into a seated position. Just observe how your energy is changed. Just from that maybe slightly more deep Adho Virasana, getting hold of the edges of the mat and stretching away. It's a really good way of really activating those seat bones. Just feel the energy that you have released. Feel how it flows, how it almost sits in the skin. Just come up onto your knees. Have your hands as wide apart as the mat, your feet as wide apart as the mat, and come up into dog down. Press the palm skin into the floor. Activate your legs. You know how to activate your legs, so use that technique that we've been using all week of tightening the kneecaps, corkscrewing the legs, lifting the seat bones away from the heels. Use that technique. Focus on the breath. Again, sometimes, especially when it's warm, maybe your hands feel a little slidey on the mat. So, get hold of the edges of the mat like you did in Adho Virasana, and then come back into dog down. And again, just feel how there's a difference when you're kind of really firmly connected to the ground. You can lift out of the arms much more effectively. So the trick is trying to bring normal hands into this. into this deeper action that you get, you can activate the legs even more. Bring the hands back to just flat into the floor and try and really replicate that same feeling. Okay, step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position, and then come up into feet as wide apart as the mat. Have some blocks for your hands. Have your feet as wide apart as the mat. So if you find that, especially in warm weather, your mat becomes a bit slippery, sometimes it gets like kind of oils and stuff on it. So if you just spray it just with I just use like normal like anti-bac surface cleaner. Just give it a wipe. It really makes a difference. So some mats you can put in the washing machine as well, can't you? But just give it a wipe down with some anti-bac. Just the type you put on your kitchen surface, and that usually does the job. So feel how your feet are connected to the floor. Feel how your outer edge of the feet are connected to the outer edge of the mat. And then corkscrew those legs. Tuck the tailbone in, lift up into the chest. And then hinge at the hips, come forward. Find the blocks underneath your shoulders. Just feel how your body feels in these poses this morning. So every time we come into these poses, we do this little sequence of limbering poses every day. And we do it because it feels familiar, but it also helps to draw your concentration inwards. But does it feel the same today as it felt yesterday? And the chances are it doesn't. And the chances are it never does. And again, that is why we do the sequence of limbering poses. Sometimes I vary it slightly, but we do it because it's a good, even level to assess how the body is feeling today. Because these are poses that feel deeply familiar. If you go down lower, then do. So that familiarity just brings a kind of a sense of differentiation. So we can feel how the body feels in these poses that feel so familiar. So the limbering sequence isn't just there to limber up the body, of course it's there to do that, but it's also there to wake up the brain, to give the brain something to react to. So feel your internal balance of action. Feel that you can extend deeply. If you can reach around the backs of your heels, then do, but strong for your back, so just work within your own limitations. Just feel where your body is today, feel where your breath is, feel how you feel emotionally within the pose. And then walk your hands towards the end of the mat, bend your knees to find the floor if you need to. Have your hands shoulder width apart, and then step your feet back hip width apart. And just come back into dog down, observing how it feels different now to how it felt a couple of minutes ago. Just keep your attention on the feeling of the pose. Okay, we're going to bring the feet together. So to bring the feet together in the middle of the mat. So Ekapada Svanasana. Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Spread the toes of the left foot. Keep the right leg straight, and then elevate that right leg up to the ceiling. Keep corkscrewing it so that the hips stay level. We will want to draw the hip out of line. So draw the front of the thigh inwards, draw the back of the thigh outwards so that the hips stay level. And bring that leg up so that it's in line with the spine and the arms. Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then see if you can bring that standing heel down. That's pretty strong, but just go as low as you can and then bring that leg back. So the trick here, not really the trick, but the aim here is to keep the legs straight. Keep both legs straight, that lifted leg straight. Keep it straight as you lift it. Spread the toes of the right foot. Keep corkscrewing those legs inwards. Both legs turning the front of the thigh inwards, the back of the thigh outwards. Keep the legs straight. Keep flexing into the heel and lift that leg up to the ceiling so that it stays in line with the rest of the body. Push the hands into the floor. Lengthen from the hands and into the shoulders and into the elbows. Sorry, that didn't make sense. From the shoulders into the hips. Okay, bring that leg back down. And then bring the feet hip width apart. And then just reset in Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then sit back down onto your heels and just observe your energy. Observe how your energy has risen in the chest, in the shoulders, in the arms, in the legs. How the energy almost tries to seep into the skin. How it brings the skin to life. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. From here, just stay in, sitting back on your heels, but this time see if you can come forwards onto your knees, bring your knees together, bring the feet apart, get the thumbs right into the backs of the knees, and then just have a couple of blocks handy if you need. You may well need them. Draw the calf flesh out to the sides and then see if you can sit between the knees. See if you can sit down on the floor. If you can't sit on the floor, don't worry, just get a couple of blocks and sit down on there. If there's problems with the knees, you can put a blanket into the back of your knees to give you some space. So just see if you can sit back onto the floor and then lift up into the chest. Now, you might be able to sit down onto the floor. I can kind of get there today, which is unusual, but maybe I'm just feeling a bit warm. But if you sit too low, then actually it's really difficult to lift the chest. So use the blocks if you sit down between the feet, but then you find that you can't lift up into the spine. So try and keep the knees together, just sitting on whatever lift you need, and that lift can be high as well. You can always do this in cross legs if it doesn't feel good in virasana. Lift up into the chest, raise your arms out to the sides, and then elevate your arms up to the ceiling, stretching your arms up. Rotating the arms so that the palms face each other, and you're almost trying to turn the palms towards the back of the room. Rotating the upper arms in the sockets. Spread the fingers, spreading the palms. And then interlock the fingers over your head and then turn the palms all the way out. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Just feel how the positions bring energy into the body and to the mind. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side. and then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Just bring your arms down and look at the interlock of the fingers. The interlock of the fingers is probably your typical interlock. So the index finger on the top, that's your normal interlock. So swap it around, bring the other index finger onto the top of the stack and then rearrange the fingers so that you interlock the fingers again. Turn the palms all the way out and then raise your arms up and over your head. Press the shins into the floor, lift up into the heart area. Feel that you can lengthen from the hips into the armpits, into the elbows, the wrists, the palms. Feel that you don't over bend the lumbar. Sometimes you can really turn the tailbone out a lot in virasana. Just gently tuck the tailbone in. Draw the belly button towards the spine, lift up into the chest. And then turn with an out breath to the right side. And then come back to the center. Extend your arms up. Draw the breath in through the nose. And then turn to the left. And then come back to the center. And gently release your arms. Release your arms, unhook the hands, and then just have the palms facing upwards. On the thighs, just feel the energy in the arms. Feel your energy in the arms. Feel the energy in your chest and your shoulders. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, just come up onto your knees and then just go back into dog down. After virasana, dog down will feel like a real release for the legs. So just have the hands shoulder width apart, the feet shoulder width apart. Your legs might be a little reluctant to straighten, so just acknowledge that, respect that. Push your hands into the floor and lift out of the hands into the elbows, into the shoulders, up into the hips. And then bring the heels down as much as you can, just stretching out the calf muscles. So after virasana, it just feels good to straighten the legs this way. And then just go back onto the heels, onto the toes, sorry, and then lift the seat bone. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then step your feet forwards, come up into the standing position, and then come into Tadasana. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Stretch your arms forwards, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then extend your arms up into baddangulyasana. So this week we've been doing really extended limbering poses, limbering sequences. Just to use that sequence, familiarity of the sequence, to just observe how your energy flows through the pose. Release your arms, just swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then again raise your arms over your head. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then gently release, just stretch your arms down. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just feel the energy that you have released in the shoulders and in the arms. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump, go wide. If you can, use the back edge of your mat to align your heels. And then turn your toes in, tighten the kneecaps and lift up into the chest. And then hinge at the hips. Come forwards, hinging at the hips, lifting the seat bones as you go. If you can't reach the floor, then use blocks underneath your hands, but be on fingertips. Whichever method you do, the blocks or on the floor, be on the fingertips. Reintroduce that corkscrew action to the legs. So the fronts of the thighs turn inwards from the little toe side to the big toe side, rotating around the back of the leg, across the front of the shin, around the back of the calf, and all the way down into the ankles. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Be light on your hands. Just see if you can lift your hands off the floor. Lift the hands off the floor and hover. So it really activates the legs. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, and then reach down and find the floor. Listen to the breath. So from here we're going to go into trikonasana. So turn your left toes in a little, turn the right leg and foot all the way out, and then walk your hands over to that right leg. Bring your right hand onto the shin, bring the other hand onto the small of the back, and then open the chest. Draw the chest towards the side of the room and up towards the ceiling. And then reach up. Corkscrewing the legs, but corkscrewing them the other way round, from the big toe side across the front of the thigh towards the little toe side. Rotating the backs of the legs inwards, the fronts of the legs outwards. Drawing the abdomen up to the ceiling, looking up if you can. So it's a little wider than your typical trikonasana probably. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good way to just stretch out the legs, to feel how the legs extend. Okay, bring that top hand back down onto the floor, and then walk yourself back into the center of prasarita, padottanasana. So just recharge the legs. Turn the fronts of the legs inwards. The corkscrewing action is different in prasarita. So feel that corkscrew action in the opposite direction. Keep the legs straight, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. And then turn the right toes in slightly, that left leg and foot all the way out. Walk your hands over to the left leg, bring your left hand onto the left shin, bring the right hand into the small of the back, and then broaden and open the chest. Bringing the chest to face the front and up to the ceiling, and then reach up. Corkscrew the legs in the opposite direction, from the big toe to the little toe. Turning the legs outwards rather than inwards. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening. to the breath. And then bring your hand down to the floor. Bend your knees if you need to, just to find the floor, just to find that first stage. And then come back into prasarita. Corkscrewing the legs in the other direction. Little toe to the big toe side on the front of the thighs. Lift up into the chest. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, bring the heels of the hands down, bend your knees, and then step or jump your feet back together, and then come back up into virasana. Arms raised up to the ceiling. Ideally arms parallel to each other, arms facing each other. Corkscrewing the legs, the fronts of the legs go inwards, backs of the legs go outwards. The tailbone in, draw the belly button to the spine, draw the lower ribs to the spine, draw the heart area to the ceiling. Okay, and then release, just be in Tadasana, just observing your energy, observing how your energy has changed. Okay, so we're going to go into supta virasana. We're going to do this with our bolster on a little ramp. If you haven't got a bolster, you can just use cushions. If supta virasana really doesn't work for you, you can do this in supta baddangulyasana with the feet together and the knees apart. So you've got one block on its tall end, one on its lower end. Just have those in the middle of your, like kind of in the centre of your, on either side of the mat. And then have your bolster, so you've got it on a little lift like this. And then get your folded blanket and then have that for your head. Now we're going to go into supta virasana. If you've got painful knees, then you might want to put a blanket in the back of your knees. So let me show you. So when you come back, you can get a blanket like this, and then you just, onto your top of your head, have the knees together and pull the blanket right into the backs of the knees. Don't have it too thickly folded, but just thick enough so that it gives you space in the back of your knees. Now this is a pretty good method anyway, because it stops your knees from falling apart when you come back. So with the blanket in the back of your knees or without the blanket, then you're going to come back and draw yourself down towards the towards the bolster. So if this really doesn't work for you, then just do supta padottanasana. So once you're in virasana, lean back a little and lift the abdomen to the diaphragm to the collarbone. So make sure you know where the bolster is behind you, and then guide yourself down along the bolster. You might want a blanket underneath your forehead, underneath your, sorry, I can't speak today, underneath the back of your head. And then you should lengthen the tailbone down away from the sacrum. Draw the tailbone to the ceiling. Draw the buttock flesh down to the backs of the knees. So make sure, if you're not sitting in the right position, just, I felt like I was a bit far away from the bolster there. It wasn't supporting my lumbar. It's a bit better. So just make sure that you can be in a position that you can stay in. Try and keep your knees together. Just let the palms rest on the, backs of the palms rest on the floor, palms facing upwards. So the backs of the palms, the backs of the hands on the floor, palms facing upwards. And focus on just filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Filling your lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying them from the top to the bottom. So supta virasana is one of those poses that it looks pretty uncomfortable, doesn't it? But it's actually really nice once you get into the right position. So you don't have to have the ramp underneath you. You can have the bolster flat on the floor, or you can just go directly down to the floor. But many people struggle with coming back into supta virasana. So using the ramp just gives you additional support that just gets you into the pose without causing extreme discomfort. It can feel tight on the thighs to start off with, but it's a really good stretch for the thighs. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. The one thing that maybe the ramp doesn't do as well is it doesn't really lift the chest as much as you can, so you have to really consciously lift the heart area upwards. Focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Emptying them from the top to the bottom. Try to breathe evenly into both lungs and evenly out of both lungs. Breathing evenly into both lungs, evenly out of both lungs. Just acknowledging that the breath is life. As long as the body draws breath, it continues to live. So enjoy the connection between the oxygen in the lungs and the moment that you draw them in. Just listen to the breath. Okay, in a moment we're going to come out of the pose. So you need to push your hands into the floor. As you come up, try and push the chest forwards rather than the head. Try not to poke the head forwards, you'll strain your neck. Push it up, push yourself up. Just bring yourself up into this virasana and then come up onto all fours. And like earlier on, your legs will be a little reluctant to straighten, so just respect that. Have your hands shoulder width apart, turn your toes under the little, they will be reluctant, and then come back up into dog down and just let the legs refresh. Straighten the legs, bring the heels down to the floor, just gently refreshing the action of the legs. So it feels good to bring the heels down after that, but we tend not to bring the heels down in dog down because it drops your legs. If you can see creases between at the bottom of the shin and the foot, that means you're dropping your legs. But after supta virasana, it just feels good to bring the heels down, even if you do drop the action of your legs. Okay, and then when your legs have recovered, then come back onto the floor, and then keep the ramp and then just have your legs outstretched, and then guide yourself down along the bolster. If your head rolls back, have the blanket underneath your head. Just let your feet fall apart, make sure you're in the middle of the mat, and then guide yourself down. So this is our just restorative heart pose, just brings energy into the heart area. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And just use the time in the pose to relax the body, no longer aiming to extend. Just enjoying that sensation of bringing energy in through the nose and allowing it to fill into the lungs. Just feeling the lungs from the top to the bottom, just observing the breath, observing the openness of the chest. You can relax the legs this time rather than the action of virasana. Okay, push yourself up into a seated position and then just come into cross legs. So swastikasana or half padottanasana, whichever is comfortable for you. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side. Feel that you can lengthen the spine before you turn and lengthen the spine during the turn. And then come back to the center. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, and then turn to the left. Drawing your abdomen across and your ribs and your shoulders. And then gently come back to the center. Just remove the bolster from behind you and remove the blocks. And then just come down, have the folded blanket for your head. Have your bolster underneath your knees, and then guide yourself down. Just have the bolster underneath your knees, guide yourself down into the floor. Make sure that the back of your neck is supported as well as your head, and move the equipment out of the way if it's in the way, and then allow the body to just release into the floor. Observing your energy, just let the legs completely relax. Observe the energy you release through your practice. Consciously unhook the muscles of the arms and the legs from the bones. Let the body become heavy on the floor. But observe that irrepressible lightness that radiates from the bones and into the muscles. Radiating from the bones and into the muscles and into the organs. Radiating from the bones into the muscles, into the organs, to the flesh and the skin. Just basking in that feeling of energetic lightness, just allowing that energy to permeate into toes, all the way down the legs into the toes, all the way down the arms into the fingertips, and from the toes all the way up into the top of the head. Just distribute that energy with the breath. Just enjoying this feeling of complete release. Just basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, have the feet apart and your knees together. Just Resting your back into the floor. And then draw your knees in toward your chest. Have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg. Come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti, a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions, the forward bends and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet the chest, lift your chest up to meet the chin. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy and you've become much more aware of the energy that's within the body. So thank you very much for joining me.